Senator, thank you very much. It's an honor to get to continue to work with you and the people from down here on the Gulf Coast, and particularly coming to a place that carries such powerful symbolism for those of us who love this state, and particularly when you think about the symbolism for Texans that are concerned about the heavy hand of a distant government. And this week, the hand of Washington has gotten much heavier as a group of unelected bureaucrats have moved closer to derailing our economy by adopting very ill-considered environmental policies. The Senate moves closer to passing its own job-killing energy legislation. And, you know, when the Environmental Protection Agency unilaterally decided to declare carbon dioxide a threat to public health, they shut down an increasingly informed legislative dialogue in pursuit of their increasingly radical utopian view. And at the same time, they are placing Texas and the rest of the country in serious economic jeopardy. This is not a huge surprise. A little more than a year ago, I asked leaders of 3 state agencies that oversee our energy industry to craft a strategy for defending Texas from an increasingly activist EPA while keeping a close eye on what the U.S. Congress might do to Texas in the interest of, quote, going green. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Michael Williams of the Railroad Commission, Chairman Brian Shaw over at the TCEQ, and Chairman Barry Smitherman, who heads up the PUC, for throwing themselves into that effort, helping sound the alarm, if you will, on these proposed regulations and devastating pieces of legislation. I think most outside observers would agree that our collective efforts to battle this legislation was gaining some traction. The chances of that cap and trade passing the Senate were dwindling because Americans were learning the facts about the cost to everyday hard-working men and women across this country. But in one fell swoop, the EPA effectively ended any honest dialogue on this vital issue, and I think displayed a degree of self-importance and unilateral decision-making that has become rather routine with this current administration. Now, could the timing of this audacious step be connected to their realization that their glacier of irrefutable scientific proof be melting away by reports of manipulated data or destroyed information, the censorship of views that departed from their accepted dogma? Or is it simply an effort to save face in Copenhagen, striving to make a favorable impression on the world at the expense of our nation's best interest? You know, how else does one explain their willingness and haste to issue a finding that will cost hundreds of thousands of people their jobs, cause prices to necessarily skyrocket? That's the president's own words, at a time when our economy is ill equipped to absorb such a blow. That's why today I sent a letter to the EPA, to the administrator, Lisa Jackson, asking her to withdraw her agency's endangerment finding and take an honest look at all the science as they consider for the first time how their plans will affect ordinary Americans. Their time would be much better spent streamlining regulations, not burdening job creators with unnecessary mandates. Let's not forget that EPA leadership previously admitted that these job-killing, high-cost regulations will neither lower worldwide carbon levels nor affect global temperatures. What makes their findings illogical and the sweeping mandates that will likely follow so threatening to this country is that Texas has already shown how to lower emission levels without killing jobs and jacking up prices. Over the past 7 years, Texas has reduced carbon emission levels more than just about any other state and more than any other nation, with the exception of Germany. This is a byproduct of the all of the above energy strategy, which is providing incentives that foster innovation by investing in companies that are bringing the latest energy technology into the marketplace, then getting out of the way and letting the market do what the market does, which is create jobs and in turn wealth. I might add, we've done this while expanding our economy and managing a growing state population without the sweeping mandates, draconian punishments that Washington applies to just about every challenge. See, that same mindset is clear in the working version of the Senate energy bill. It's just another one of those one-size-fits-all policy initiatives that has taken shape, and I might add, with a national energy tax interwoven into it, under cap and trade, or as I call it, cap and tax. Texans will bear more than their share of negative impact from an average increase in annual cost of approximately $1,200 per household and the loss of hundreds of thousands of jobs. Washington clearly knows this. Otherwise, they wouldn't have included funds in this bill that they're discussing to pay displaced workers in the energy and manufacturing field. They're talking about underwriting those individuals whose jobs are going to be lost by this mandated regulation, paying for their health care, providing for job retraining for up to 3 years. They know exactly what this is going to do to this country. This dangerous piece of legislation will also reduce the chance of home ownership for many Americans by creating a national building code that could ultimately price a substantial number of new home buyers out of the market. I'm a firm believer that Washington's one-size-fits-all approach will not work, whether you're talking about energy policies, healthcare reform, or economic development. Instead, states should have the freedom to compete against each other and make decisions that are in the best interest of their citizens. I would suggest that those in Washington or who are making these one-size-fits-all policies go back and read the 10th Amendment, probably some for the first time ever. Until they do, we're going to continue sounding the alarm on these misguided, over-intrusive policies that are going to devastate our state and our national economy.